Hi, welcome. On this next series of videos, I'm going to be doing a breakdown, okay, of the debate between Kevin Murdaugh and Mark Dubose. And the title of this debate they had is says a heated S show of debate with Mark Dubose about my effed up dog. Now, without a doubt, his dog is messed up. Okay, I understand that. Again, I did a video on that in terms of of falling into the trap, okay, of actually lining up. Again, I've said this since the beginning. It's interesting he hasn't done this. I mean, anyone can do it. Okay, I talk about it, to actually reveal the truth of the relationship. Okay, lining up certain things which happened in that. Again, you watch the video I did where he has Grey Goose on the leash near, not near. I mean, it's actually far in quite a ways in the background. Some people working on a roof. So you had that loud noise happening, triggering off Grey Goose. Focus change, obviously reactivity, stress on Grey Goose. But through the leash itself, again, talk about the core ingredients, influence and control, aligned directionally, right? Intent. So Grey Goose understanding intent that Murdaugh wanted Grey Goose to move forward, taking in the form of a demand, a reasonable demand, and refusing to do it. If you watch, he's standing there, and you'll see this throughout the thing. You can watch the whole thing, but you see the major problem, and then he's trying to package it up, right? Trying to excuse it all away, trying to say, "Oh well, genetically, and oh just no." It's like just like someone like Zach George. Okay, that's all it is. I mean, you hear this. This is no different. That's why I say Murdaugh is no. He's not special. Okay, he's no different than any other trainer out there that has again are in this or market training this way. And again, in terms of not not following the path of a intervention the way I talk about it through a intentional interaction based method that aligns those core ingredients properly. No, through his idea, through this whole loose leash, off leash. Again, talk about this thing too. Off leash, right? Even the relationship can be its own motivator, not in a good way. Okay, I understand control itself becomes a motivator, just like a child going to the permissive parent for what they want. And you'll see it through his language too. He's like basically begging Grey Goose to please move forward. Right, come on, girl, come on, like please do it. Come on, just that desperation thing. Because I talk about this, like if you're in the right relationship and that's expressed through the form of a demand that way, with dog understanding intent, that dog will move forward, come into agreement with, okay, based on how you're perceived the right way through the relationship. It's just as simple as that. All those things align. Again, the intent part has to be there. The demand part directionally too, in terms of how the leash aligns through being expressed that way. All of it, right? And that happens there. You see it, and everything makes sense about him going turn like Grey Goose goes towards something, like what happened there, right? Because typically he'd be doing his I call it cheap shot walk-alongs and be heading towards that, the roofing being done and those noises. And what happens? Grey Goose turns around, goes the other way. He just turns around, walks the other way with Grey Goose, but misrepresenting the relationship when he's doing it. Not saying, oh, she's scared of or reacting to that. He's just like he's trying to package this whole thing up, this problem he has with Grey Goose. But again, there's no words when you apply the method I show. There's no way out. See, that's the good news about what I say is you can test this to any dog in relationship that way. It's just like the parent, pick up your toys, right? Because you're the parent. It's implied to the relationship. And you can try to excuse anything away. The child starts mouthing off and going on. Like it's a reasonable demand. See, is it reasonable? Yes. The relationship. Talk about the relationship. So there's no way out for him. He's in that trap. And you can see it because he tries to make all these excuses. Then line up all the excuses. Picking up Grey Goose, turn the other way. He starts sees admitting stuff now. Didn't hear him admitting all that before, but now see, Dubose put him in this position, like fully. I was putting out videos and I already knew, like, no, this is like, and so I just have no patience. That's not my thing. It's not for me. It's like I just move on. But Dubose basically forced them into this, whether they knew, but it just exposes it. fully out in the open. So I'm gonna do I'm gonna do a breakdown here. Okay, but I want people to, as a disclaimer to know something because this Murdaugh will say stuff. He starts saying that I'm behind the scenes with Dubose, like having conversations and setting them up. He's mentioned about setting up. All this will be come up during the debate about why he got bitten by following Murdaugh's method. Listen, that's all news to me. In fact, the last podcast I did with the Bose stuff came up there I never even knew about because we're not in conversation. That's the great thing about all this. And we'll talk about this in the next podcast. Yes, I did give Mark DeBose access to my member area, my video content, but I have not been back and forth with him at all. He's his own person. I mean, the great thing about this, he's lined this all up on his own. So this thing with even everything happening here with the debate and all this stuff, that this popped up on my feed, midway through. Yesterday I was down a different area and popped up my feed and they were in debate. I had no clue. So a lot of this stuff is like totally independent of me. Understand I talk about the method, but understand something here. DeBose, his back and forth with Murdaugh and everything going on here, that's totally separate from me. His own ego, okay, Murdaugh's ego has set this in motion, not me. Okay, so, and that's maybe hard for people to accept, but that's the truth. So I'm just going to respond to some of it, from my perspective. But Mark DeVos, he's his own person. Okay, I'm willing to help anyone. The members area is available for anyone to go in there. They have the same opportunity as DeVos has to line this stuff up. There's nothing hidden here. That's the thing. You don't need me to be in communication. You can put everything I say to the test. And that's a great thing about this. DeVos is doing that. Doesn't need me. It's all right there. So I hand it on the silver platter. It's like, here you go, run with it. And you can line the stuff up. You can make great changes with your dogs. This is why even when I said about, because the example I'm saying is that thing with the leash, with the leash, with exposing Murdaugh's relationship with the leash. There it is. It's all out in the open. And then suddenly all his excuses come up. That's interesting, right? Grey Goose is refusing a demand that way because deep down he knows it. Okay, he knows he's got a problem here. He can't get out of it. And he's trying his best. And then all these he's no different than someone like Zach George scrambling around, right? Trying to come up. These are kind of come up with some excuses now. Sounds like a 4th Street trainer, right? It's like, oh, well, because of this and Grey Goose and this, see, you can't, this guy won't accept ownership for nothing. I mean, understand something. This guy is full of himself. He's arrogant. He's prideful. Um, and it's a mess. And you have followers. I don't care about that. I've banned a lot of the ones I banned off my channel are coming from him because of the foolishness. Because here's the thing: is I'm here to help people. You can't help some people. Okay, I mean, you can't lead. I mean, you can give them everything, but they're offended and they're virtue, but they want to pump themselves up as the greatest show on the planet, and they won't take responsibility for nothing. But here's the thing: is the situation with Great Grey Goose that's fixable, but he isn't going to do it. Right? He's just going to, but he's misrepresenting himself and his approach by putting Grey Goose up as an example dog that way and giving out advice for issues that he can't even overcome. He's walking the other way with his dog. He's picking this dog up. It's like the escape mechanism because he's got a problem. He's got a relationship problem with Grey Goose, and he doesn't want to admit it. Now he's saying a bunch of crap, right? Suddenly, why is that's interesting? Right? And he does the leash method, right? Oh, there you go. Why isn't he wait till now to do my method? Because he's in a trap. Okay, this is what's happening. Because Dubose put him there. He felt the pressure and he couldn't help himself. Arrogance gets you in trouble. That's his blind spot. Is his pride and arrogance. It's like, okay, I'll put Grey Goose on the leash method. Kaboom! There it is. I've said that since day one. There it is. You can't there's no escape. You can put everything I say to the test. There it is. But line up the excuses. See, you can't have it both ways here, right? Grey Goose isn't coming in, right? Grey Goose is locking down, right? And problems, right? Reactive. It's no different than watching Robert Hines and his dog off leash. Think of what I'm saying. It's the same. So as much as he criticizes Robert Hines, they're aligned the same way through It's that same type of premise because those core ingredients are in line through whether it's Robert Hines or him. And so the same problems that develop in both dogs. And then look at what Hines is doing with the off leash dog. And he's what? He's portraying, Monty is, oh, look, Monty's great off leash. Look at that. Well, Grey Goose looked great off leash too. Not so much now, right? Now you see it. That's what I've been saying since day one. So you can line up. There's no excuses. Like he's trying to find all these now genetics, right? But that came out when I rewatched because I hadn't watched the whole thing, the Miracle Canine debate. You saw it, it was right there. He admits it. The genetics, right? That's just, see, there has to be a way out with these trainers. That's the blame shifting. Because skews it away. Well, this is it. So we're gonna play some of this. This is part one. I'm gonna do some parts here. This goes on for 3 hours. And honestly, I have not watched the whole thing. But the first part of this debate lines it up with, again, the last video I put out.
Yeah, can you guys hear Mark? Give me a 5x5. I'll make sure they can hear us first.
It's very interesting how I'm impressed that we can still do this, be live anywhere in the world, but it's like the lag in it is still very
That's crazy.
slow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it looks like there might be a delay for them. All right, Shane, you can hear me. Shane, can you hear both of us?
Yeah, I think it's good to go.
Okay, cool. Maybe Loka, she might not be in the room. All right, cool. All right, Mark. Well, I'm gonna give you the floor. So I'm gonna let you start with your main objection to what you see with my dog on the live streams and the claim that my dog has all these issues. And so, yeah, why don't you go ahead and we'll start with that.
All right, so you're a dog trainer, right? Or you work with people with dogs, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And you have a good understanding of like different temperaments of dogs, right?
Correct.
How many dogs do you help that have the temperament like yours?
There aren't many dogs that have the stable mindset that Goose has.
He's lying right here. He's saying stability comes through right relationship, perceptions aligned properly. So right at the starting gate here, he's not being honest.
Okay. So in that sense, how are you saying that you know how to work with these dogs when you don't have experience being with one for 10 years?
Who said I don't have experience living or being with one for 10 years?
You claimed and stated your own self, I've never had a working dog. I've never had a high drive dog. You said these things before. And just like how you have a disagreement with even a dog such as a German Shepherd. See, this is the thing. This is where
Here's the thing, though. Grey Goose has enough high-level social need to put him in a bind already. Understand that, right? So you saw the video, Grey Goose locking up, going into a level of challenge on him, not moving forward, right? So Grey Goose has enough there to expose him right there. Okay, understand? So I understand every dog, you talk about high drive dogs, like every dog has the same type of social need. Some dogs have a higher level. So you think about your Malinois. You think about some of your shepherds, right? Pit bulls, right? Pit bulls getting a bad rap, right? So but those certain dogs, I talk about the 1% dogs exposing the underbelly, right, of this ideology where the core ingredients are not reconciled properly, right? That's what exposes it. And so, but Grey Goose is at that level where she exposes it. Okay, she exposes, his approach. She exposes the relationship that, he's been misrepresenting with her. Okay, just watch that video.
I see there's lots of issues going on here. Within just the start. You literally have a dog that, as you just said, is very stable. So, in my opinion, I'm going to say that's a very well-bred dog. The dogs that should be bred, and we shouldn't have anything other than that at all anymore. My German Shepherd should not be on this planet. But your dog is a very nice, stable, well-balanced dog. But yet, still won't.
Well, he says that, but it's not, how Mark is talking about this here. Grey Goose is not in right relationship. Understand, she's carrying a load of stress on her because her perceptions are misaligned of her own.
Follow you when it gets scared.
What does
That's the
one
part
have to
that's
do
weird
with
to
the
me.
other? What does one
That's
have to do with the other?
everything to do with it. Because that shows the lack of what I want to say is proper leadership. If something is scared, I want to be the leader that they come to, not that they freeze up, don't want to go around, but the leader that when they are terrified, anything's going on, buddy, come to me. My kids, you nervous, you're scared, you're not sure what's going on at school, come to me. My dog, there's a weird.
So here it's this whole thing about attachment. I talk about this, coming to you through already right relationship, but it's attachment, it's connection. Okay, it's right. What we're going for here when it comes to our relationship with dogs is in terms of being seen the right way through the relationship where the dog has the right level of focus. Okay, versus the same holds true within the service dog training industry where the dog, those perceptions are misaligned. It's attachment, possessiveness. Okay, there's a difference between the two.
Suspicious person over there, come to me. And I'm going to lead you through this situation. Leaders, all in our history, that's how we're able to go to war. Because a leader is able to convince those guys, those men, I know you're scared. I know you don't want to leave your families, but come with me so that we can see the greater good on the other side. How is it that a nice, stable dog like yours isn't able to do that?
So how Mark is doing this, like I know where he's coming from and his perspective is saying he's not that person, okay, who's able to or willing to, okay, and that was what I said in the other video to move her through that, right? So the problem here isn't the dog, it's the human. Okay, the move, the type in he's exactly right. The type of, person that is going to move through it. Because here's the thing is like, even as a parent, you say, well, I don't like confrontation, say, with my kids. But through the right, proper, parenting style, the authoritative parenting style, is saying it's not about confrontation that way. It's about saying, I love my kid this much. That's not about, you know, what I like or don't like. It's about the right thing. I love my kid. I'm not doing this to hurt them. I'm doing this to move them through this so that they're a better individual, that they have a better attitude, right? So you're modeling, but you're also showing, but it's also sometimes you have to address it. Okay. You have to, in terms of your role, you got to confront it. In certain expectations, a demand, parental influence, control, all those things are all part of the package, so to speak. But so here Mark's saying, hey, basically he's not the type of person that is able to move Goose through, which he's right. He's absolutely 100%.
Are you aware of the issues she had when I got her?
And see, right here, right now, he's like, "Are you aware of the issues I had when I got her?" See, there you have it. It's like the same as when you go into the situation with animal rehab. I had to cut ties with a animal rehab organization out of Miami for this very reason, right? Because the dogs, and I said this story, dogs came to me aggressive, right? It was the human that messed, emotion, right, caused the problem. I got them rehabbed, and then when they went back, they started going back. It's like they ended up, on that bad path again because the humans wouldn't listen, right? Because so much of it has to do with how we're at a social level, how we're connecting, how and our emotions and the role they play in that. In terms of dogs starting to head the wrong direction in terms of relationship. But here, right over here, see, notice his desperate fallback position is, don't you realize the problem she had? That has nothing to do with anything. Nothing to do with anything. Okay, this is all about dogs are animals. Okay, they're governed by nature. And so much of it has to do with how we connect at that level. So here, there's the blame shifting right here from the get-go. Don't you realize? So we're going to stop part one here. I'm going to do some multiple parts here, moving through it for anyone who's interested. But this is this is a total expose. Okay. You mean, if you go look at the other video, and we're going to talk through this, but this is what this is. Okay. This is like what not to do. I guess a trainer. Okay. but the leash method, last I show it. There's no way out. Understand? There's no way out. He can try to make all excuses he wants. There's no way out of this. Thanks for watching.